You got a roller trailer?
Oh yeah, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah. It's pretty common up north. People scoff around here though.
Oh.
John, do you have two mics hot in that room?
I have one muted. I'm not quite sure how it's getting the feedback back. But I have someone far more knowledgeable than me in this field. Maybe.
You need to mute it more.
Or
Do you have a volume adjustment hammer with you?
because I think it's probably picking up the sound from the TV. I've got the sound on. Okay.
You're speaking here.
Lift up and then it goes this way or that way. Let me silence.
Okay.
Don't want to just leave them there because we'll need to.
Hello, Robert Garvey.
Hello.
Gerber. Hello, William Garvey.
Hello, hello. You can hear me.
I got you, Lima and Charlie,
Now,
even though I'm not supposed to say things like that.
Okay. This is quite a show.
I like it because it looks like they're about to get run over by the ship.
It does.
Testing.
Yep, we can hear you.
I never figured out how to do that. Picture. I don't remember exactly how I did it. That was one I heard.
Which way you want that? This way?
Yeah, I guess to see them. Let's see.
And this is might be a little different, but how about a view of the audience with the microphone up by the speaker? Like we might get better sound that way, and
We
instead of video of
turned
the
the
speaker, we
volume
could
off
see the
on-
reactions.
We're getting feedback from the TV monitor into the mic. At the same time, this mic's coming.
So glad there's somebody here.
Okay, well, you got almost another whole minute to figure it out.
I guess once we get to the training part.
Just out of curiosity, bring the volume up just a little bit. Which mic were you?
Using that microphone.
This mic, okay,
This microphone is
okay.
lousy.
One speaker.
Okay, test.
But that microphone's off, right?
This is mute.
No, that mic.
This microphone is on. That microphone is on, but it's getting the feedback from the TV.
Yeah. And the microphone is. I was hoping.
The feedback's not too bad out here in the field at the moment. Looks like somebody just shot a hole in the screen though.
Yeah, strange images.
Yeah, ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the. I don't know.
That's the UFOs they just declassified.
No, you got a hand in it now.
Unidentified aerial phenomena. Yeah, okay. As long as it's got a 3-letter acronym, it's official.
I don't think it likes the fluorescent light.
As it was.
It's called a black spot.
I don't know whether we can change the background. Does it have the background image? I forgot how to do it.
You can, it's usually who's in charge. Your computer?
Oh.
Walter's.
Walter has the media. He's running the media.
That's your,
That's got
Your-
your problem.
that's this, yeah, you have to change it. On the internet. That's fine.
Using an HDMI plug.
That's what's running.
Actually, wanting to not do that. None. That way they'll be able to see the room. Okay. Or on here anyway. Yeah. It's not working very well. They're working in portrait mode, turn sideways. Yeah, vertical screen instead of a horizontal screen.
Oh, do you mind seeing if there's, if you can get that wood? One shy, like, do you have 12?
Five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7
Oh,
That's 12. We need 13
we need 13.
to approve anything, right?
Right.
Are we expecting Philippe because he's doing?
Philippe, we had a slight change. Walter's actually going to do the ops workshop for us in lieu of Philippe. Philippe had an emergency come up.
Yeah, let me write to Kathy and see when she intends to join by Zoom. Let me see what the time is.
Bear with us for just a minute.
Somebody's just.
By the way, I have not so far had any luck with finding somebody to do a Zoom risk management.
Philippe just joined, so
Okay, that makes 13.
if I count, that's 13. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. If everyone, at least in person, can rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
The United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Poole is not with us today, so in lieu of an invocation, I'd ask everyone to just take a moment of silence. Think about those who are serving abroad at this time. Thank you. We have one guest with us tonight. William Hayes is online, but I believe he does not have. William, are you able to talk now?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes, sure can.
Okay, good. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, William.
Evening, William.
We appreciate you joining us tonight. You have anything you would like to share with us?
Just thank you for all you do. Keep up the work. I know we have a lot of stuff going on. National Safe Boating Week. That's our focus right now. Just keep that going. Make sure you record and keep up with your time and those who participate, because we'll need an after action sheet on that. But other than that, I appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Thank you, William, and we appreciate you joining us tonight. Next, if we could have a motion to approve the minutes. The minutes were included in the newsletter that was sent out. And unless there were any additions or corrections to those, if we could have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Susan, and a second. John? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight. As William mentioned, National Safe Boating Week is coming up later this month. Probably the biggest thing happening this month overall for the auxiliary. A couple of things that are going on. We have proclamations that Bill Garvey has been working on. Bill, do you want to, I see you're online, do you want to talk a little bit about National Safe Boating Week and the proclamations you've been working on?
Well, sure. Can you hear me? I don't know if this is working. Okay. Yeah, we have proclamations from the 4 mayors of our AOR, if you will. Sullivan's Island, Isle of Palms, Mount Pleasant, and Charleston itself, city of Charleston. And they all volunteered that immediately when I proposed, or when we proposed it. The last one to sign at the most recent meeting was Sullivan's Island and Mayor O'Neill. As it turns out, 12-8 is doing the same thing, and they got Mayor Tecklenburg of Charleston to proclaim for them as well, which is interesting. So that's a double proclamation from Mayor Tecklenburg of Charleston. And next week, I'm going to participate with 12-8 in receiving or acknowledging a proclamation from the city of North Charleston and Mayor Sumney. And from what I gather, they're going, and John, you may know this better than me because I just heard about it and volunteered today, that there are going to be officers from Sector Charleston there as well. So it is a combined activity with gold and silver, which is really very nice. So, and that's about all I know. I know of no, I never heard from anyone about an event that we're supposed to participate in. So anyway, short report.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Bill. Kathy Heibel, who's the vice commander for 12-8, called me today and had mentioned about the proclamation in North Charleston. I believe Captain Cole will be present at that as well. So good that we're getting that exposure and that involvement with them.
Oh, and John,
Yes.
I did send out the press release to Moultrie News, to Post and Courier, to I sent it to Bill Walsh, is the weatherman at CBS locally. He happens to be I know him personally, and he happens to be a, what do we call it, 6-pack certified, or whatever that term is. So he is very much a boater and very much involved in the auxiliary, and he says he'll push it at the channel as well.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, the other stuff, and we can talk about this a little bit later. I see Bob Gerber is on, but anything we can do, any involvement that any of us have during that week, even if it's talking to neighbors, talking to friends about boating safety, emphasizing the importance of wearing life jackets. Even if they're not required, it's still a good idea to have them on. Absolutely, they need to have them on their boats, know how to get them. Promote the boating safety classes to the Boat America classes that Susan has been doing. It's a great opportunity to do that during the week. Yes, Susan.
In addition to the Boat America class, I've had interest in doing a boating skills and seamanship class. So if anybody wants anything of more depth, I'm just developing it now.
Okay.
But that would be sometime this summer.
Okay. Keep track of whatever you do during that week, and we'll make sure and get those hours logged appropriately. We'll send out something later with the specifics of what code needs to be used for that. Gusto, would you mind coming forward? Gusto let us know that there was a tiny error in one of the financial reports, offered to be flogged. Instead, I offered to officially make him the FN. Philippe has graciously served as the finance officer since the beginning of the year, even though Gusto has been doing a lot of the record keeping for us. Gusto has hit his 1-year mark now, so he is now officially our finance officer, subject to taking the pledge. If everyone could please stand. Gusto, you have offered your talents and services in the interest of a better Coast Guard auxiliary. The pledge you're about to take admits you to an office of greater responsibilities and high honor. Along with this honor, you must be prepared to accept certain obligations, as well as the administrative and supervisory responsibilities of your office. The task is to develop the auxiliary programs to the maximum efficiency that conditions permit. You're expected to encourage closer liaison between the auxiliary and local Coast Guard units, constantly reminding auxiliaries that their actions reflect not only on the auxiliary, but also on the Coast Guard. As a leader, you're charged with maintaining high standards in all auxiliary programs, never compromising honesty and integrity. With the full realization of the demands of your office in terms of time, travel, and dedication, if you're willing to accept this honor, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Gusto Torres,
Solemnly and sincerely pledge myself
solemnly and sincerely pledge myself
to support the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary
States Coast Guard Auxiliary
and its purposes,
and its purposes,
to promote its authorized activities,
to promote its authorized activities,
to properly discharge the duties of my office,
to properly discharge the duties of my office,
and to abide by the governing policies
and to abide by the governing policies
established by the Commandant
established by the Commandant
of the United States Coast Guard.
of the United States Coast
Congratulations.
Guard. Thank you.
Dawn had a conflict tonight, so she is not here. I will just go through the list of officer reports for anyone. What I'd like everybody to do is just provide any updates or any changes, anything new that was not included in your report in the newsletter. What I want to do is to keep our meeting part brief tonight, allow more time for the operations workshop that Walter graciously.
I'm just joining the Flotilla.
I'm sorry.
What?
So I'll just go through the officer.
That sounded like Bruce Lindsay online. Bruce, are you with us?
Walter, I am. Just got here.
Okay, John, our sector coordinator, Bruce Lindsay is with us.
Okay, great. Thank you, Walter. And thank you, Bruce, for joining tonight. Bruce, would you have anything you would like to share with the group today?
I really don't. You're up to date with I think with everything happening at sector. I will say that Lieutenant Holland, I'm promoting him already. That's where I believe he ought to be. I understand the Coast Guard disagrees with me. He's got time to put in yet. But he has been really great to work with. And I know you've got issues with, well, you had issues with getting orders. I think, and we've discussed that, but I think that's a one-time. The problem was a district not having put the funds into Oxdata. If the funds aren't in Oxdata, there's nothing that the order issuing authority can do. And I've been told that that was a one-off. When I talked with Ensign Holland about it, he said that that had been taken care of at district. He told me it was a district issue. It's been taken care of. We have plenty of funds, so that's not an issue. I understand that you've got some other issues relating to patrols, and I'm sorry to be so far away. I'd love to be able to help you in some ways, but geography seems to be in the way. I guess those are the only things I think of right now. I really appreciated the fact that Ensign Holland did get with us and trying to get the somebody. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm confusing that. That's Flotilla 12-3 up in on Lake Murray had an issue with unlicensed commercial vessels, and there's no enforcement up there, so that continues to be a problem. For you all, you may have discussed the fact that the Coast Guard Cutter Stone would really appreciate auxiliary assistance with watchstanding, deck watchstanding. They are undergoing maintenance there at Fleet Sea, and John and I have discussed the access to Fleet Sea. I think that the people on the Stone would just take care of that. And basically, when we went and visited the, can't remember, the cutter we visited, the National Security Cutter, 498 feet, was right across the pier from the Stone. And so we had to fill out and send advanced information to Fleet Sea, and then fill out a form and be escorted in by somebody from the Coast Guard. They could easily take care of that. So getting access to assist would not be an issue. I don't have any other details other than it's a deck watch, but they'd really appreciate whatever assistance the auxiliary could provide to them. And I think that's all I think of right now.
Thank you, Bruce. And just so everybody's aware, I was going to mention that early or later on in the meeting. We have had some initial contacts. We were thinking possibly Captain Carlson would be able to be at the meeting tonight, but it was such a last minute thing. He will not be able to be here tonight. Ensign Holland indicated that both he and the captain will likely attend our June meeting, but their ask was for some assistance with watchstanding, basically, not the radio type watchstanding, but deck watchstanding, access to the boat. What sounded like kind of like what the guy from 12-8, Ron Meets does at the front gate down at the station. More details will come out later at Ensign Holland on the specifics of the request, but just know that's in the works. We will be asking for some help from some folks once we get clarity on the parameters of what they need specifically. Yes.
Is there special training and certification required for that?
We don't know yet. It depends on the scope of what they're looking for. My guess is if it is just verifying documentation coming in, there's probably not. They would do some simple training. If it was something more sophisticated like radio watchstanding, that's something you have the TCO, and then there's a PQS for them. But as we learn more, we'll be sure and let everybody know.
John, could I interject?
Yes, please.
I think the first step would be, if you have anybody who would be interested, to pass their name and contact information to Ensign Holland and to let them get back with the information. I think that basically they would give you an orientation. And it's not, I don't believe it's going to be technical. I think it's going to be routine. I suspect you'd be the essentially the officer of the deck. So anybody come aboard would salute the ensign and salute you, and keeping track of who's there. To my knowledge, that expectation, that'd be about it. But if you can pass names of interest to Ensign Holland, they'll get more information back to you.
Okay.
Here are the dates.
All that is what we know so far. So don't know the time frame or any of the specifics, but if someone does have an interest, let me know, and then as we get more information, we'll communicate that. Let's go through officer reports real quickly. Walter, do you have anything additional to add to your newsletter items?
No.
Okay. Philippe, it looks like you may have been able to join. Do you have anything?
I actually don't have anything. You already mentioned the most important, any activity, even if it's talking to your neighbors that you do during National Boating Safety Week. Make sure you flag it in the comments. There's technically a mission code for it, but if you don't know how to do this, I'll do it for you when I review your submission. Please submit very specifically for that National Safety Boating Week.
Okay. Thank you, Philippe. John?
I have nothing to add. I did receive some material for Susan, which I get paid for. Thank you. And now that Justin has made is the FSO FN, I have FSO shoulder boards for him.
Oh, excellent.
I still have like a stock of two or three, but it won't cost the flotilla.
If you want to go to- Bill, anything else other than what you already talked about from a public relations standpoint?
No, really not. Keep things short. I mentioned the thing next Tuesday in North Charleston. That's about it.
Susan?
We have 17 students enrolled in the class that we're going to be doing in 2 days' time. And just let me say something, as SOMT, I'm still trying to find an instructor for risk management online who's willing to do it and is capable of doing it. I have applied up as far as the ad, so, but I have not received anything back yet.
One thing, do you know of any other operations workshops that others may be doing online in case we have people who will need it who aren't able to do it tonight?
I do not at this time, but I'm getting ready to contact all of the FSOs. And I request this every month. Let me know what you're doing so that people from another flotilla can cooperate, and I will get that out. Okay. Again.
Okay.
Still.
Thank you, Susan. Kathy, thank you for joining us from Boston. I hope all is going well. Anything from SR standpoint that you need to add, or Mike, could you pass along anything?
No, I think nothing to add.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Walter.
I'm sorry, say again, Kathy.
Thank you. I just said thank you. Sorry, I can't be there tonight, but I'm glad Mike is able to take the minutes and we'll get them submitted to district.
He is ecstatic and just having the time of his life.
I'm writing stuff down, but I don't know.
It was like the challenge afterwards. What is that?
Mike and Kathy, we've got a recording going of all this, so if that helps you, just let me know and I'll get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
And last but certainly not least, Mr. Gerber, do you have anything for us tonight?
The only thing I have is that I am currently trying to arrange some dates with the Carolina Boatyard for vessel examiners to go over there and do some exams. We used to do that fairly regularly. Actually, the owner, Brad Kerr, and his wife, Brad, is a member of our flotilla. They now have 2 locations. One is on Highway 41 at the Wando River, and the other one is in Awendaw. And we usually would get there on a weekend and they'd have people lined up ready to go. So I'm working with them, trying to set some or find some dates where we could do that and get some exams done. And big thing is if there are people that are behind the REYR, whatever, that need to catch up, that's a good way to do it because you can have certified examiners and REYR folks and get a whole bunch of stuff done at once. So I will let you know.
And also, I guess, an opportunity for anyone who is not a VE currently. It's a fairly simple process. There's an online test you can take.
Which is open book.
It's open book, as Susan mentioned. So, and we have a number of people who are VEs who could help with that if we needed to have any sort of coaching along the way. But it's a fairly simple thing. You pass the test, and then you do VEs with others who are qualified as vessel examiners. Is, I think, maybe 5, is that?
Yeah, 5 to begin with.
For the initial one that you're doing along with someone. We don't have quite as many vessel examiners who are able to get out and do the VEs currently. So it's something that we could do. And honestly, it's one of those things that the information is information all of us should know. Any of us, if we're asked questions, if somebody sees us in uniform, that's kind of one of the basic tenets of the auxiliary. Knowing that information, I think, would be a good thing for all of us. So if there is anything that, if anyone is interested, that'd be a great opportunity to pass the test beforehand, get the examinations, the joint things, and then sometime, hopefully within the next 5 years, have it properly recorded. Things don't always move quickly. Yes.
I just wanted to add that after you because this initial 5 inspections supervised, then they can inspect kayaks. Now, myself and Walter, who just recently joined, we joined this low country paddlers. It's a big Charleston kayak group. And they already said that they would be open to have us inspect their kayaks with safety devices. So that can add to our hours also.
Okay, I'll follow up on that, John. Hey, young Bob.
Yes, sir.
I would like you to put the last Saturday in June on your calendar. I think it is the 25th, maybe the 26th, but I can't work the calendar I've got here. The kayak club is having their summer picnic on that day, and we've been invited to have vessel examiners there to do courtesy exams.
Yeah, it's the 26th.
Okay. So we haven't nailed down the location yet. It may end up being actually here at my place, in which case they would do a launch upriver in the morning and then show up here sometime early afternoon, start pulling in for food and party. So you could just sit here and catch them as they come up the ramp.
All right.
We would need somebody who's meets all the requirements for dealing with the public. And anybody else that wants to get qualified as a examiner, if you feel like coming out here, there's boats lying all over the place. You're welcome to. You could get your own. You could get your 5 without leaving my yard here. I think Huso did that a year or so ago.
Catch the kayakers and then let them go after the kayak's been inspected.
Well, you have to weigh them. I mean, there's a minimum slot size and so forth.
Okay. Did I miss anyone on the officer reports? Any old business, anyone that's aware of? Hearing none. New business, the only thing that I had down was National Safe Voting Week. We've already talked about that pretty extensively. I do want to go ahead and move things along so that Walter can do his workshop for us. On the awards, one thing, Mr. Gerber is now entitled to wear the RS device. We do not have the paperwork through, but this posted in Oxdata as of last year. For those of you who don't know, the recreational boating safety device, which is this little thing, and the closest that I can come to presenting you with the device until it comes through. So accept that for the time being until it works its way through the system. But for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's something that requires 2 years minimum to complete. You have to have, I think it's 120 hours each year for 2 years consecutively of recreational boating safety activities. So that can be public education, each hour that you teach, or you get a half an hour credit for each hour you are an assistant. Vessel examinations count for an hour each. Marine dealer visits count. A number of different things qualify for that. Public education, I think, is one of the things that counts toward it. But 120 hours a year for 2 years consecutively minimum is pretty significant. So, Bob, we do thank you for all of your work, and certainly a well-earned recognition that I hope will work its way through and we can get it to you before too long. But thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
One other thing that you may have seen in the district newsletter, there is information on a DHS Outstanding Unit Award. If you look at Oxdata, this applies to people who were in, I think, between August 2017 and November 2020. It's a recognition that active duty and auxiliary people will be receiving. I don't believe the ribbons have begun to be distributed yet. I think the article in the newsletter mentioned that the first ones would go to active duty beginning in June. So my guess is it's going to be a gradual rollout of the distribution of those. But it's in recognition of people who were involved during multiple hurricanes, and then most recently with the COVID vaccine or the COVID-19 response, the mask preparation, different things. And that we had a number of people who were involved in making masks for you, collecting hand sanitizer back in the early days when you couldn't find any of the stuff. So look for more information to be coming out on that at some point. There was an article in the newsletter for the district, I guess, on that. So, John, I know you had submitted a request. I don't know that they never heard anything back on that.
Yeah, maybe they decided to do it all without that.
Right.
I put in for the hand sanitizer and the making of the masks.
Masks, yeah. So, anyone else have any business to cover tonight?
But one other thing,
Yes.
did you hear anything as far as receiving a certificate from Marine Dealer Visitor or TCO?
No updates. There's a backlog on some of this stuff, and I know on the financial side, and I don't know whether it's the same people who are involved, but it's possible that because of the backlog in financial reimbursements for boating aviation stuff that goes back for quite a while into last year, they're really, I think, working hard to get those things caught up. And maybe they shifted resources to try and get that backlog cleared first. And some of the other things will, I hope, will improve at some point. So, patience. Any other business?
John, real quick.
Yes.
Have y'all submitted for the diversity awards this year?
Not yet. I had forwarded Scott's to you, or to Scott, the email that had come out about that, to make sure that he is on top of getting that prepared. He, I think, intends on getting that prepared. We will most definitely get that submitted for the Flotilla.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. If there is a second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting portion is adjourned. Now we will commence with the operations workshop that Walter is going to conduct for us. Now, Walter, I guess, are you going to be sharing your screen? Walter?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Well, you mean-
yeah, I'll do the screen share from here. I would like to know how many people are actually in this class, and what the split is between online and in person.
In person, there are 7 of us.
So I see, is that Beatrice in the back?
Beatrice,
Wave if I say your name. All right, Beatrice Justo,
Susan will be right back.
who's in row 2? I see John right up front. Susan Justo
Mike Pascal.
and Mike. Okay, so everybody's gonna ride through this class. Hey, Rhett. Let me get the screen share going. We'll, I was trying to fire up a Hummingbird cam for you, but that didn't work out so good. So.
Dawn may be joining momentarily if she is able to.
How's that?
So-
You got a slide up there?
We do.
Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're not waiting for anybody else, so we will punch through this expeditiously. Okay, this is a workshop that comes out of the National Response Directorate. Rick Sanders and his bunch put, there's a new surface workshop every year, new aviation workshop every year. Every other couple of years, they'll refresh the TCO or telecommunications and some of the other workshops. But for surface operations, boat crew, coxswains, this is required, got to be done by June of each year. So let's see what they want us to especially think about this year. Policy reviews, safety enhancements, and this is it's not a replacement for TCT, also known as risk management. So most of you, I think, have caught both of the risk management classes so far. This is supposed to be a little bit more local, a little bit, still supposed to be interactive, but I am not afraid of questions, especially the ones I don't know the answers to. So don't be shy to speak up and figure out some way in that room to get a question to me if you need to. Just put a hand up or just interrupt me. Okay, the risk management stuff, we do the one-time intro class, and then we do the refresher yearly that David has been conducting for us. And the whole idea of that training is to get us into this frame of mind where we're thinking about risk management as a constant background process. So what we do is complex, could be dangerous, and virtually always involves some level of risk. So we have to keep thinking about it, talking about it, look at it very formally during the initial briefing, and then update it as appropriate going through the mission. We use these peace and star models. We're not going to dig into that during this workshop, but those are the tools that we use to try and keep things squared away while we are under orders. So let's see, John, perhaps you can refresh our memory on what the peace model stands for, the elements of peace, P-E-A-C-E.
That's why I'm at the training. So I can find
Oh, I'm
out.
sorry. I was trying to reach John Swink, flotilla commander and fully qualified boat crew, who's done this many, many times.
Oh, peace.
See? Oh, don't have the little cheat sheet out there in front of you, huh? How many A's are there in peace?
There's one A.
There are 2 A's.
The way we end up working it, there's 2 A's for assets.
So we have planning,
You're off the hook, John. Planning,
we have planning,
yes.
we have event.
What aspect of the event is it that we are looking at?
The planning, well, the planning would be the event itself. What are we going to do? What's the mission? How clear is it going to be?
Okay, I don't want to dig into it too deep. This is not a risk management class. What I wanted everybody to remember, though, is PEACE is an acronym for the things that we are supposed to look at to see how much of an opportunity we have had to mitigate the risk before we start the mission. And maybe that came out kind of twisted, but we're not looking at how difficult the mission is. We're looking at, in the case of planning, we're looking at whether we had a chance to plan or not, right? If this is something we booked 2 weeks ago and we're working with other agencies and we've been told exactly what they want us to do, that might mean that we've got a pretty good plan and there's probably not a lot of risk associated with it. If it's a call out where we were going out to do training and they said, hey, we got a case, can you go out and look at it? We've got much less time to do the planning and much greater chance for risk to introduce itself. So those 5 elements there, the planning, the complexity of the event we're trying to do, the assets, meaning the equipment and the crew, the communication and supervision elements, and also the environment. Just it's an assessment of low, medium, or high. How much risk do we have associated with each of those things? So, but that is really material for the risk management course. So we'll keep that in its box here. Here's some of the things that we're supposed to look at. We got a good boat for what we're trying to do, or aircraft, or whatever else we may be up to. Safety limits versus the weather minimums. Do we have a good mix of crew for what we're trying to do? Do they know what they're expected to do? Individually, are we ready and capable for this thing? And do we think the rest of the crew is also ready? Safety is always first priority. Remember, safety of the crew, the public, and the vessel are more important than the mission. There's an interesting piece of video floating around out there. If you've seen any of Mike Rowe's work, the Dirty Jobs guy, he's got one out that's makes the case that safety is somewhere around job number 3. Interesting stuff. I recommend, if you're at all curious about the topic or intrigued by the intro, that you chase that down and take a look at it. Training for safety and proficiency. Yeah, we train. We've got crew qualifications. Meeting the standards contained in those qualifications is supposed to improve our competence to the point where a greater fraction of what we're asked to do falls within our abilities. So we're trying not to just meet the minimums and qualify or requalify, but to get really good at what we're doing so that something that has got a little bit of a challenge to it ends up being within our capabilities. So one of the things they've done this year is collected some active duty drill sheets. These are the recipes that the boat stations use for things like man overboard and towing drills, search patterns, so on. Those are available to us. We could get local ones from Station Charleston if we asked, or we can pull the national ones down from the website. Any patrol on the water is going to have at least a coxswain plus one crew. That is generally good for boats up to 26 feet, 26 and over. 26 to 36 is coxswain plus two, of which we have one facility in our flotilla that requires the extra crew, and over 36 would require a third crew. So if it's coxswain plus one crew, you both better be pretty good, because there's a lot of work. There's a lot of minimum stuff that has to be handled while you're out there. Comms, lookout watch. It's easy to get into a conversation and drift away from the reason for what you're doing. So stay focused. Yeah. So who's going to do what? Lookout and helmsman, radio watch, navigation. Is everybody qualified to do everything on the boat? You get all your stuff organized. If something has to be dealt with during the mission, you're going to lose half your crew if you take the guy that's not on the helm and send him down below to get a piece of equipment that maybe should have been on deck in the first place. So you pilots will have been familiar with this. It's an old aviation acronym for taking yourself through an assessment of your own condition. I'm safe. I is for illness. Obviously, if you're sick, that's going to impact your ability to do stuff. M is medication. S is stress. What's going on in your life? A is alcohol. What's the bottle to throttle limit for what you're doing? Marijuana is not legal for use under federal law, despite whatever the state rules are. Auxiliary prohibits it. F is fatigue. Am I tired, not adequately rested? Eating is the E at the end of it. Have I taken care of my nutritional needs? Safety, proficiency, and professionalism. All right, anybody got anything they can cough up here as far as crew members you knew had physical issues? Maybe getting on board the boat, can't stand for a long time, some sort of an injury. Any volunteers to talk about that a little bit?
Don't forget, can't hear, having problems hearing.
Indeed. And those generally don't get better, do they?
No.
So once you've got the reputation as a hearing issue, everybody should be very careful about what they expect from you, huh?
Blood sugar, if you have someone who is diabetic, do they have stacks needed to keep the blood sugar regulated? Any heart issues, joint issues?
I won't tell the whole story, but I've seen collisions between auxiliary facilities because of people that did not admit they had physical issues before the patrol. Discussion number 2, proficiency. Ever seen crew members executing unsafe maneuvers? What should we do to eliminate or reduce those risks? Do you train as a normal part of patrols? Crew members executing unsafe maneuvers. You know what comes to mind for me in this is line handling. It's very easy to try and do something and put your fingers or other body parts at risk when you're trying to stop a boat, particularly one that hasn't been brought into the dock or gotten off the dock as smoothly as it should have. So be careful and keep an eye on each other, and don't be afraid to debrief afterwards if you see somebody doing something, letting a line run through the hands, like just anchoring if you don't have gloves on. Dangerous.
Plus, having the same people do the same jobs all the time, and they
Yep.
don't become proficient on all the other ones.
Rotate around. Does this question even have to be asked? Have you ever seen the coxswain or crew not concentrating on the mission? Yeah, sometimes when they've got a camera in their hands, sometimes when they've got a sandwich in their hands. I think we're probably all guilty of this to one degree or another. And it's on the coxswain and every other member of the crew to try and keep people focused on the reason for the mission. Why are we out there? Incorrect uniform or wearing the uniform incorrectly. Had to deal with this a bunch as a QE. Really, I think 12.6 has been, at least over the last 6-7 years, we've been in pretty good shape uniform wise. Everybody takes pride in it. We don't have any cranky geezers that are insisting on wearing something that was legit in the 1960s. So, but again, if you notice anything, even if you don't understand it, it's just a question. It doesn't have to be a complaint or a violation. Say something. Coxswain down. Uh-oh. That could be me. So what happens if somebody drops a kitty cat on the boat and I go into anaphylactic shock from my allergies? Who's going to take over? This should be part of the mission briefing, and I have not been good about doing that. Nobody likes to confront their own mortality or even susceptibility to disability. So if you're on the boat with me, make sure you've got the answer to that question, because if I go over the side or can't breathe, somebody's got to get us home. CPR, who knows what our policy is regarding what we can do on CPR?
Up to your person trying to.
Give you a hint, it's in the little box. And I should pause the recording here to say what's on my mind, which is, if you read this stuff and follow it to the letter, does that mean you're supposed to sit there and watch somebody check out because you're not CPR qualified? If you take it to the extreme, I think that's what it says. So given a choice between trying to give CPR to somebody who's got no other options and getting kicked out of the auxiliary, I'll get kicked out any day. Mishap notification, yeah, we're supposed to let people know. Before we go to the next slide, what are the 3 areas that constitute a mishap? How do we qualify with a, excuse me, what are the kind of things that would make an incident a mishap? Let's go online. Ed Gerhardt, what's going to make something a mishap?
How about obviously a crash?
Well, a crash would result in what? Damage to what?
Damage to equipment, damage to damage to the assets.
Okay, damage to equipment. That's one qualifier. Rhett, you got another?
Equipment failure.
Speak up again.
Equipment failure.
Not a mishap.
How about personnel injury?
There you go. There's 2 out of 3. What else can we screw up that would qualify as a mishap?
The environment.
The environment. Okay, very good. So we report this stuff up the chain immediately. And theoretically, it's used to improve our performance, not to punish people. No comment. When they crunch the data and try and figure out what it is that causes mishaps in the realm of human behavior, you end up with complacency, track line deviation, meaning you drifted off course. The first time I went underway with a qualification examiner at the helm on his own boat, he drifted right off the track line, right out of the channel, and right into the mud with and I'm not talking about an outboard that kicked up a little bit. I'm talking about an inboard that hit the bottom, and we did not report that. I didn't know any better back then. Excessive speed probably is hopefully not something that we deal with or that we're prone to in the auxiliary. COVID-19's mitigation. All right. You want a translation on this? They've done it for us, right? Everybody's got to be vaccinated. And if you're vaccinated, you don't have to worry about getting COVID. Just like my next door neighbor. Double vaccinated or vaccinated and boosted twice. She's sitting over there with COVID right now. So, yeah, I don't know anybody that's doing this stuff. Remember, this workshop was put together late last year, so it was during the Omicron breakout, and probably I would say this about COVID is check the rules before you get underway, whatever's current. Radio basics, all right, nothing new here. We're supposed to be professional on the radio. I don't know why they have all this stuff. If you're trying to describe a missing person, it seems to me like some of this would make sense. But I think you can read between the lines and understand what we're saying here. Brevity and accuracy, you get into the groove with this, right? When you're on the air with sector, they'll set the tone and the pace and ask the questions, and you respond as succinctly as you can. We don't use any of the funny language on the radio. We also don't often speak to the public, but when we do, just remember that you're speaking for the service, and you will want to do that as best you can. Always better to take a second and delay your response if you need to rehearse it first, rather than just keying up and going mind to mic without much thought ahead of time. 16.156.8 megahertz is the international distress and calling frequency. We're always gonna have a radio on that, unlike the cops and fireboats, because you might pick up something that the towers do not, or the watchstand or sector or station does not. If they're busy talking with an aircraft on another channel, they might miss something on 16. So we've been very good about that. Most of our crew bring a handheld radio. I think that's good practice. Coxswain responsibilities, responsible for the entire crew from pre-mission brief to debrief. Got to arrange for the OPFAC to be introduced to anybody that needs it. Check the gear, PPE, the locator beacons, watches and rings, checking physical fitness for the mission with each crew member, particularly those that have some sort of a history. We're going to designate who's doing what. Lookouts, comms, helmsmen, et cetera, rotate people around. Keep an eye on people, make sure they're doing all right. 2 responses, right? Or 2 challenge rule. Are you okay? Are you okay? If I don't get an okay after that second one, we got a problem. Even if it's just hearing. Cutoff switch is installed. I think all our boats are new enough that those are there. Safety is paramount. If you see something, say something. Risk management. It's a way of life, not just a practice or an event. I'm safe from the aviation world. Mobile devices. Make sure the coxswain has briefed you, and particularly new members. My rule is don't bother asking me if you can use your phone to take a picture, but if you get a phone call or if you have to make one, I want to know about it beforehand. Proper lookouts must always be maintained. I think that's rule 5 in the navigation rules. Radio watch. So we back to this. Watch on 16 plus whatever the guard channel that the watch standard at the station or sector gives us. PLBs. Is there anybody that's likely to be out on a boat that's on this class that does not have their own PLB at the moment? I mean, a Coast Guard issued PLB. Okay. If anybody needs one, let me know. We've got some that may be coming up on expiration, so I keep the registrations renewed, but the batteries are going to time out after about 5 years. So SAR response, do what you can do. Right? If you get a request to go somewhere, think about it before you say, yeah, we got it. And just because you're on a case doesn't mean you can break the law. Things like no wake zones. Patrol orders. It's been almost a year since I had to deal with this. They still go through aux data 2. We've got, apparently we've got money for this now, so we could be doing patrols if we can pull all the pieces together. O1D time, that's prep and debrief before and after the rest of the patrol. Get the orders in on time. I think I might have just gotten reimbursed for some stuff from September because I had a couple of mystery deposits in my account. Other reimbursables, that's stuff like oil conditioner and maybe ice. I don't know. We don't usually get too tangled up in that. Yeah, there's a rule. When we start getting back on the water, we'll have some training for patrol orders, because even the people that were familiar with it all last year are probably going to need a refresher on what they've changed. I think there is supposed to be a cost estimate added in now. I have no idea how to do that. 22B, not for underway hours. 22B, Philippe, are you still on?
I am here. I'm here.
Is 22B is standby, like B0 or B1 standby time, right?
I'm gonna have to double check on that. This
Okay,
is not something
big
that
deal.
I've promoted, so we're not
We
supposed
will
to use it.
we will
but
occasionally, particularly on the air side, we'll occasionally get asked to have a crew in an aircraft waiting at an airport on a holiday weekend that can launch within an hour of being notified. Usually you do that for a few hours and then you get to launch and go out and fly fly whatever you want to fly as the cookie for having done that.
The star standby is 23A, but that is at the facility ready to launch. I need to double check that
23, yeah, I
22.
don't know what 22B is. Okay.
22 refers to trailering, I believe.
I'll have to check.
I
Oh,
think trailering.
is that not O2? Oh, well, doesn't matter. We'll get to it when we get to it. O1D, all right, this is getting ready. And then one of the reasons they're kind of uptight about this is that it counts against the fatigue limits. So if you've got 8 hours and you spend an hour getting the boat ready before you even hit the water, you don't have 8 hours of underway time. Then you've got 7 before you're back.
I got it. 22. What was it? 22B or 22A?
22B, bravo.
22B is ops training, but it's not supposed to be. It's the Coast Guard operational support, and you do ops training with them. That's actually not a patrol that you put on yourself.
Okay.
So if you do a patrol and you're actually training on that patrol, it's technically a mom patrol. 22B is when you're actually involving surface air operation by pilot that are not IT qualified, which are not otherwise reportable as safety patrol or member training mission. So we really shouldn't be using that.
Okay. I guess somebody was, and now we all get spanked for that. All right, we're closing in on the end here. Yeah, get orders closed out within 30 days. I know that's a pain for folks that have to wait on fuel receipts, but try.
So just to clarify, if we were to do, for instance, a teaching class for crew members, like typically the academy, if the instructor is an actual instructor qualified in Aux data as an instructor, they will report it as an 06. That's basically a class that they're teaching. However, if you're not an instructor, but you're here mentoring, explaining to the newbies as a regular member, but you have this form of training mission, if you want, then you can at that point report at 22B. So it will be very specific. If you have somebody who wants to come to help the training academy, but is not an instructor, then you would be a 22B. You're teaching your other fellows, but you're not an instructor.
But that's all dockside.
That's totally dockside. It absolutely is not on underway, surface or air operations.
Sounds like somebody was trying to get their instructor hours by quacking at their flotilla mates. Okay. Other reimbursables for patrols, tolls, dock fees, ramp fees, park fees, that kind of stuff. All right, what we do not claim as other is fuels, food, meals, water, that's got its own place. Fuel, that's got its own place. Lodging and per diem, that requires actual travel orders. We have had situations where we did that. Or trying to prorate your annual boat expenses and charging the Coast Guard for a day out of 365. Okay, let's talk about, did I skip one? Responders, that's the online magazine. And I've never sent an article into those guys, but we've had some good material. We just always move on to the next little project before we get the story written about the last one. Okay, what'd you think? Was that not the best workshop you went to all day? It's the best one I gave all day, so I'm thinking we were okay.
Nice job, Walter.
What could we have done better? I mean, other than done it in person, dockside with some water and boats to look at.
I thought it was really good and covered everything you could cover.
I thought it was reasonably well written. I mean, some of these things can end up being stinkers, and there's some stuff I don't like in there that tends not to disappear, but oh, okay. So there's my class. Beatrice in the back, what did you think? You want to get out on a boat with any of these people?
Yes, sir. She's got a job teaching sailing this summer. I do.
You're sailing on what?
Cool.
What kind of sailboats?
You know, 420s and all these.
I can't hear you back there. That's all right. We'll do this in person sometime.
420 and what was the other? Optimus.
420s, College of Charleston sailing,
Hobcom, yacht club.
Hobcall.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do we think about getting a vessel examiner out here on the 26th, I think it is, of June?
If my paperwork comes through on time, I can do it.
I can do it too, Walter.
If my paperwork comes through.
Okay, because if we can't do it, I'm not going to play it up to these people, but I think the guy from the kayak club is going to come out here and take a look at the place before he commits to it.
We'll do it.
Should I?
That's a Sunday, the 26th, right?
Yeah.
No,
I'll do it.
it's the last Saturday in June. I can't figure out how to bring up a calendar on this Windows 11 machine.
25th, I think.
25th.
Yeah.
25th? Okay.
Yep, 20, no, it is the 26th. It's a Sunday.
26 is
moly.
Sunday, 25
Yeah.
is
How can this
Sunday.
be that hard?
I'm looking at a calendar.
If it's a Saturday, it's the 25th. Yes. If it's June in this year. The anniversary is on Friday, the 24th.
You see it, Walter?
You better not forget that.
Also June, also this year.
I'm going to have to go find a paper calendar somewhere. This is ridiculous.
No.
It's on your phone.
Yes,
Walter.
it's the 25th,
Yeah.
That's the Saturday. Yeah.
kayak picnic. So
Walter, iPhones have pretty good calendars on them. if you
The
want to see.
25th.
Yeah, 25th is a Saturday, yes.
So, yeah, the idea would be if, and this is a decent bunch of people, by the way, if anybody's interested in the paddle sports. They tend to organize a lot of trips, and a lot of them are pretty close to Charleston. They'll find a neat little stretch of a creek somewhere and go out and show you something you wouldn't find on your own. So I'm looking forward to working with them, and we will, whoever it is that wants to come out here for this, should be a good time, and we'll have plenty of boats you can rack up Dr. Phil size numbers by inspecting 20 paddle boats in a day. Okay, any questions about the workshop?
I think it was a good job, Walter.
Uh-oh, you were
Definitely.
still on? Shoot, I should have checked for the boss before I did all that stuff.
He was monitoring you, Walter.
All right, I'm gonna turn the recording off and you can tell me what you really think.